Hey guys, this is John. In today's video, we'll be solving Laplace's equation outside a circular disk. This is the fifth video in a series about solving Laplace's equation on various types of surfaces. So let's get started by reading this type of problem. So we're told to solve Laplace's equation, big surprise, outside a circular disk, okay? So in the previous video about solving Laplace's equation on a circle, we solved it inside the circle. This time we're going to approach this question a little bit differently and solve it for the outside circle. And you'll see where we kind of go astray, like slash a little bit differently. Okay, so step 0 is to draw the shape. Okay, so circular disk. Start a little bit bigger. Circular disk of radius A. Okay, and where the boundary condition, which is given here, states that at the edge of the circle, we're going to be equal to the natural log of 2 plus 4 cosine 3 theta. Okay? And then the Laplacian on the surface is going to be equal to 0. Okay. So, step 1 is separate variables. Conveniently, we're already given what the separation is going to be, which is given here. So, knowing that the Laplacian of u is equal to 0, if we let u of r theta be equal to phi theta times g of r, the separation is going to become 1 over g r dr. R, I think, yeah, dg dr is equal to negative 1 over phi d squared phi d theta squared. Okay. So now that we've separated the variables appropriately, now we have to decide the value of the separation constant. Should we decide the separation constant to be a positive number or a negative number? So remember that we want, if we have solutions that are if we have boundary conditions that are homogeneous species correlates to oscillatory solutions. Okay? So the implicit boundary conditions that were given, that are not explicitly given, but are implicit to the circle, are the periodicity boundary conditions. And these basically state the following. U of r pi is equal to u of r negative pi, and the first derivative also holds the same relationship. A little bit more about what these are saying now. I'll box this so for future reference. This is saying that, okay, so let's say that right here is the 0 angle, 0 theta, 0 pi, sorry, and then this is half a revolution. Okay, so these boundary conditions are saying that no matter which way you approach it, either positive pi or negative pi, the heat flow at this specific part of the circle, and no matter which direction you approach it from, is going to be the same. So it's just a, how do I say this? It's just a mathematical way to represent something that we know is true, right? So the heat flow here should not be a superposition of two different numbers. Like if you put your finger like here, you should feel the same temperature no matter which way you approach it from. Yeah, something like that. But hopefully that makes sense. So the periodicity boundary conditions are homogeneous boundary conditions. So consequently, we're going to want oscillatory solutions in theta, okay? And in order to get oscillatory solutions in theta, we're going to want our separation constant to be positive. Because if we look at the right-hand side of this equation right here, what I'm circling in blue right now, this will result in imaginaries that we can then convert into sine and cosines. So that's how we go about that. So 2, solve the diffie-q's. So let's solve for phi of theta first. The convenient thing here is that if we look at this table that we're given, and that you'll probably be given on your exams, so we're given this differential equation right here. So I'll write it out again. So the differential equation on the right-hand side of the above diffie-q right there is d squared phi d theta squared equal to negative lambda phi. And this diffie-q that I'm writing right now with pointing out my arrow is the same one that's up here, okay? So conveniently, we can use this table and match up our boundary conditions and chug along with our lives. So the boundary condition here and the fourth column are the ones that we're looking for. Let's change that. And these tell us that the eigenvalues are going to be equal to n pi over L squared, but L in this case is just pi. So consequently, our values for lambda here are just going to be lambda is equal to n squared, because L is equal to pi. And then we're told that the eigenfunction right here is going to be sine, so phi of theta is equal to C1 sine of n theta plus C2 cosine n theta. Because if we look up here closely, remember that L is equal to pi, so pi would just cancel out here, and then we're left with n times x, or n times theta. Cool. So that's pretty much our solution here. And it's important to note that our lambdas can also start from 0. So n equals 0, 1, 2. So that means lambda is greater than or equal to 0. So I'll solve for g of r now. So let's take a look at the lambda greater than 0 case first. So this case states that r squared d squared dg dr squared plus r dg dr minus n squared times g is equal to 0. This equation right here should seem familiar to you. It should look like a Cauchy-Euler. And if we solve this out using the appropriate the appropriate trial function, we should get that g of r is equal to c3 r raised to the positive n plus c4 r raised to the negative n. Okay, so this is where things start to differ between inside the circle and outside the circle. When we're solving inside the circle, we have to consider the singularity point at the center. So remember that at the center of the circle in polar coordinates, we have a singularity. In other words, it's undefined. Okay? But the thing is, we're outside the circle, right? So we don't really care about that center point as much as we did when we were inside the circle. When we're outside the circle, okay? So let's say on the circle, we're 100 degrees Celsius here, and then we go maybe like 10,000 meters outwards. So 10,000 meters out, okay? Do you expect the heat at this point where I'm circling right now to be 100 degrees Celsius, 200 degrees Celsius, or would you expect it to be a number much smaller than 100 degrees Celsius, assuming there are no other heat sources? I would hope that the further away you get from your heat source, you start to get colder and colder, right? So we would expect this number right here to be something much less than 100, okay? In fact, we should not expect it to be infinity or some arbitrarily large number than that, because that doesn't really make sense in terms of our problem, right? So consequently, the boundary condition that is essentially implied when we're outside the circle is that as the limit of u of r theta for r approaches infinity, this should be less than infinity, right? Think about what I'm saying right here. As we get infinitely far away from the circle, the only heat source in our system, our heat should not approach an infinite number, okay? So let's sort of apply this right now. So let's plug in infinity, because I find this is the easiest way to show it to my students. But when we plug in infinity, this is not the technical way to do it, but it's an okay way to do it. Remember, that's r to the negative n, so infinity raised to n. So as we approach infinity, this left term goes to infinity, but as we approach infinity, this term goes to 0. So what can we do to amend the problem that we're seeing? We're seeing that one term goes to infinity, whereas the other term obeys the boundary condition. This term clearly does not, the left term does not obey the boundary condition. So therefore, we must set 3c to equal to 0 to satisfy BC. Okay? So g of r now, consequently, is going to be equal to c4r to the negative n. And that's because we have to satisfy the boundary condition. You may notice that when we're inside the circle, we take the r to the n term as opposed to the r to the negative n term, because we have to satisfy the singularity condition. So this is where it comes in that you have to be very careful and think about what you're doing when you're applying these BCs. Cool. So now let's take a look at the lambda equals 0 case. When we do lambda equals 0, we're going to have a slightly different differential equation, mainly this one right here. Equals 0. And then if we solve this differential equation out, we should get g of r is equal to c5 natural log of r plus c6. And then if we apply the same boundary condition above concerning an infinite distance away, so g infinity is equal to c5 natural log of infinity plus c6. Once again, this left term goes to infinity, right? Natural log of infinity is infinity. c6 stays constant. So what do you guys think? What do you think we need to do here? Hopefully you guys should see that the trend that's happening here. c5 must be equal to 0 to satisfy the BCs. If what I have just said doesn't make sense so far, please rewind and take a look more slowly what I'm doing, because this sort of application of boundary conditions is very, very important for future problems that you're going to encounter in MATH-241. Okay, so step 3 now is to put it all together. Remember that we define u as equal to phi times g. So therefore, u of r theta is going to be equal to the product of these two, right? So let's take a look at the lambda equals 0 terms first. So when lambda is equal to 0 for g of r, we're equal to a constant here. And then when lambda is equal to 0 for phi of theta, so lambda is equal to 0 when n is equal to 0. So therefore, lambda equals 0 here means that phi of theta is just going to be equal to c2, because cosine of 0 is 1, whereas sine of 0 is 0. So since this is going to be a product of two arbitrary constants, we can combine them into one bigger constant, and let's call that constant a0. So this corresponds to lambda equals 0. Now, we can take an infinite linear combination of the rest of the terms. So now we're going to have a different constant. And since phi of theta has two terms, we have to account for both of those, right? So we have a sine term and a cosine term, whereas g of r only has this one term right here for lambda greater than 0. So therefore, we're going to have an to negative rn times cosine of n theta plus bn r to the negative n times sine of n theta. Okay. So now step 4 is to find the coefficients. Let me annotate this real quick. So this is all lambda greater than 0. This corresponds to g of r. And then these two terms correspond to phi of theta. Okay. Find the coefficients. So remember that we were given this initial condition on the edge of the circle. Natural log 2 plus 4 cosine 3 theta. And then, so now our general solution here, this is our general solution, has to satisfy this initial condition. So a0 plus summation n equals 1 to infinity of a to the negative n cosine n theta plus bn r to the negative n, a to the negative n sine n theta. Okay. So you guys should be good at plucking the solutions just by looking at them now. If you haven't, please watch my orthogonality video, and hopefully it should make sense, because this skill will be very important for future MATH-241 problems to come. But let's just start looking at these. So since this term doesn't have anything attached to it, we can safely make the assumption that this corresponds to the n equals 0 term, and then this constant corresponds to the n equals 0 term as well. And since this term right here has a cosine 3 theta attached to it, we can look at the corresponding side on the right-hand side and say that this corresponds to n equals 3, right? Because remember that the only terms that survive for cosine terms or sine terms is when n equals m. And when n does not equal m, the coefficient becomes 0. But notice on the left-hand side, we don't have any sine terms, right? No sine terms. So therefore, on the right-hand side, this bn right here, bn is equal to 0. Because of no sign dependence, we can just cross this out and ignore it for the rest of the time now. Okay. So just by matching, a0 is going to be equal to the natural log of 2. And then also by matching, so because this corresponds to the third a, right? So a3 is equal to 4 divided by a to the negative n. And those are our coefficients now. And then step 5 is to find a solution and putting all the coefficients back into the original question, original general solution. So u of r theta is equal to the natural log of 2 plus 4 over a to the negative n, that's the constant a3, times r to the negative n, cosine, actually this should be, oh sorry, yeah, okay, so this should be a to the negative 3 because that's n equals 3. This 3 should also be the same. And this r should also be raised to the negative 3 because we're only taking the the a3 term right here, and then 3 theta. And I'm going to annotate this real quick with green. So this is a0, this is a3, and then these are the corresponding terms for n equals 3. And this would be our final answer. And we can quickly check that this satisfies our initial condition by plugging in a, right? So if we plug in a, we have the natural log of 2 term, and then the a to the negative 3 times the reciprocal of that will cancel it out, and then we satisfy the other initial condition term. And that's our final answer. So please let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. I hope this brings light to a sort of different type of problem that can easily be asked on an exam that really tests your ability about solving Laplace's equation, and rather not just like memorizing it and plugging chugging. Good luck with your studies.